Hi, guys.
Okay, and where's Lisa?
Yeah.
You're going to be speaking up here. You should probably sit on that. So if you want to. Can you scoot in?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Cantor Laurel Barr, and on behalf of the family, I want to welcome all of you and thank you for being here as we remember a beloved mother and a grandmother, a cousin, a sister-in-law, a relative, and a dear friend, Sharon Gross. And while this family is filled with overwhelming sadness, they are also overwhelmed by the outpouring of love that they have received by your calls, your emails, and your messages. It is hard to say goodbye to such a remarkable and vibrant woman, as Sharon truly was, one of a kind. But we join now together to pay tribute to her, to share words of praise, and recall special memories and times shared. We offer our deepest condolences to her children, to Renee and Steve, to Fred and Annette, to Stephen and Julia, and to her sweet and adored grandchildren, to Matthew and Jordan, Max, Mason, and Ben, Lance, and Kaylee. She is remembered also by her dear brothers-in-law and sisters-in-law, Irene and Howard, and Mark, and Eileen. We begin our service with the words of the 23rd Psalm. Adonai roi lo echsar, vinodeh shehiarbitzeni, amei menuchot imnahaleni, nafshi yeshovei v'yancheni, v'maglei tzedek למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות, לא ירא רע כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי. תשעת השמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה, אך טוב וחסר ירדפוני, כל ימי חיי ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Birth is a beginning, and death is a destination, and life is a journey. From childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength, or strength to weakness, and often back again, from health to sickness, and we pray back to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, and from grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning, and death a destination, and life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage to life everlasting. We read from Kohelet, from Ecclesiastes, a time such as this. For everything there is a season, a time for every experience under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. And this is one of those times where both are appropriate. Sometimes we're comforted by silence and sitting in our quiet, and other times speaking and reminding ourselves of the wonderful times we had with Sharon. So first I'd like to invite grandchildren. I know Jordan, Max, and Mason will be speaking, and on behalf of all the grandchildren, I invite you up at this time.
Hi everyone, I'm Mason. This is my sister Kaylee. There are very few people in our lives that when reflecting back on the times that you shared, you realize you had exclusively good memories. Ema, as my sister Kaylee and I affectionately called her, was one of those very special people for me. Honest to God, I cannot remember a single bad memory I had with Ema. I cannot think of a single instance in time where I was upset or disappointed with Ema. I realized that I don't have any bad memories of her because in the 23 years I had the privilege of walking this earth with Ema, the bad times were non-existent. We shared exclusively good times. Ema's presence was truly a gift bestowed upon everyone she encountered, especially her family. Growing up in Chicago, Ema and I resided a flight or 7-hour drive apart. Therefore, every interaction with her felt exceptionally special, particularly when I least expected it. One of my core, most cherished childhood memories unfolded on an unsuspecting day when my parents picked me up from elementary school. And as we drove away, I caught a glimpse of movement from the tightly packed trunk of my mom's Acura. To my disbelief, Ema emerged from the picnic blanket, surprising Kaylee and I with her wide, radiant eyes we all know so well, and a smile stretching from ear to ear. And those following days were destined to become infinitely better. Ema was in town. Whenever Ema paid us a visit, she constantly went above and beyond to spend quality time with Kaylee and I, recognizing the immense significance of her grandchildren in her life. During our elementary school days, Kaylee and I were obsessed with video games, particularly our beloved Nintendo Wii. As many of you are aware, video games and technology were not necessarily Ema's strong suit. She much preferred to immerse herself in books or indulge in soap operas and movies on television. However, this never deterred her, for she would do whatever it took to be a part of our lives, even if it meant playing Mario on the Wii. She was absolutely clueless, but it did not matter to her. Her efforts to play with us brought Kaylee and I so much joy. We would erupt into fits of laughter as Ema's virtual car would be driving backwards or her character would plummet off the map mere seconds after starting a level. But Ema's ability to make us smile and laugh was priceless. She was an absolute joy to be around. Ema's ability to bring others unconditional joy was truly her superpower. The trunk surprises and Mario Kart mishaps are only two of the infinite joyful memories that we had. But even beyond her family, Ema could befriend anyone and win them over within a minute of meeting her. Whether it was a random stranger she met having a cigarette, a childhood friend she would instantly have a cunning nickname for, like Ari Safari or Zack Attack, or even LeBron James, who she claimed she encountered at the mall and unknowingly told him that he should play basketball because of his height. Ema captivated each and every one of them and could make them feel like they were lifelong friends. Ema was truly a remarkable and one-of-a-kind lady. As I grew older and more mature, the good times would not cease. Ema invested tremendous effort to be involved in my life and the lives of the many people that she cared about, and boy were there many. She would fly into Chicago to watch my tennis matches, walk the halls of my high school on Grandparents' Day, and even journeyed to Texas last year to attend my college graduation. Granted, she arrived with visions of horses galloping through the streets of Austin. And while Texas may not resemble the depictions on her television programs and movies, especially Austin, I like to think she enjoyed her time there. And she definitely enjoyed the barbecue and got her brisket and steak as rare as the restaurants would allow it, or mooing, as she liked to say. And that graduation weekend will forever hold a special place in my heart. That was the last time I saw Ema before her surgery. Ema meant so much to me. Every single moment I shared with her was a blessing. I was so lucky to have 23 years of exclusively good memories with her, but I wish we could spend 2,300 more together. I wish she could be there when I walk down the aisle. I wish she could be there if I'm lucky enough to have kids of my own. They would love their Ema, and I know they would cherish every single moment with her, like I did. But I know for absolute certain she will be watching from above, with Papa Mel, with Grammy, and with all of the special people in our lives who no longer walk earth with us. Ema, I know I will always know you as the fun-loving, caring, and radiant woman who played a special and integral role in my upbringing. And I promise, everyone close to me will remember that way too. They will remember you that way too. I love you, Ema, so beyond much. The good times will never be forgotten.
Thank you all for being here to support our family and to celebrate the life of Mima. She would hate it if any of us called her our grandmother. Although I'd be capable of writing a five-page novel like Stefan did for my dad's wedding, I'll keep this short and sweet. Mima had many defining characteristics. My favorite was that she did whatever she wanted, whenever she wanted to do it. Whether that was putting ketchup in her soup or smoking a pack a day, despite anyone else's opinion. Next would be her tenacity. Every winter from 2007 to 2019, my father and Stefan's poor investment turned into an all-inclusive vacation for anybody to join, and my Mima made sure to take him up on that offer every single year. At this vacation, the Gross-a-thon was born. Despite multiple last place finishes, Mima would compete in as many events as she could, even pulling off a few upsets, like out-driving me at the golfing range. Lastly, the characteristic that I will hold closest to me was her unwavering love and loyalty to her family and friends. Mima did not have an easy life, but despite any hardships she faced, you could always rely on her to be there for you when you needed someone to talk to for advice or a laugh. Mima was a tough but hilarious woman who changed the lives of anyone who ever had the chance to meet her. Whether Mima made you laugh or instilled characteristics in you that will last forever, her love and legacy will live on for generations to come. Mima. You were truly one of a kind. Thanks for the memories, lessons, and laughs. I love you forever, and we'll all love you forever.
My name is Jordan. I'm the daughter of Renee and Steve Dunne. I'm up here representing my brother, Matt, and I, the eldest grandchildren of Mima, Sharon. Part of me didn't want to speak today. As some of you know, Mima and I had a complicated relationship, which for me makes this an incredibly complicated loss. As humans, we have the tendency to put those we've lost on pedestals, focusing solely on how special, important, and incredible they were. Ema was all of those things that Max mentioned, all of those things that Mason mentioned, though she was also a lot more than that. In the end, I decided to speak today because A, Ema asked me to years ago, in a moment of conflict and disconnection, because she is who she is, and why wouldn't she do that? And B, I wanted to speak to her wholeness, honoring her complexity and depth as I attempted to do in her life. Ema was so funny. Sorry. She lit up a room with her genuine absurdity, saying the wildest things left and right without care of what anyone else would think. She had opinions, lots and lots of opinions, and she made them known, whether you wanted her to or not. She was so herself, and that is something I try my hardest every day to emulate. This was my favorite part of who she was. Hi. And my favorite part of being in a relationship with her. I love you. You don't have to stand up here. Okay. Okay. Ema was, at times, self-focused and struggled with self-awareness and accountability necessary to see how that may have impacted others. This was the most painful part of my relationship with her. And it feels difficult to accept that I never found a way to adequately express this to her. Whew. I had done a lot of self-work over the years to attempt a better understanding as to why Ema was challenged by this. And here's where I landed. When you have wounds from early on in your life, you learn to protect yourself. If I focus on myself, no one else can hurt me. If I believe I cannot do wrong, the wounds that I carry with me cannot be triggered. I control whether or not I am hurt again. I honor how I believe Ema learned to protect herself. And I too honor the impact that subsequently had on other people. Ema was fiercely passionate. She snored ferociously. It was awful. And has watched more movies than most people that I know. Her cooking was either totally wonderful or completely terrible. No in between. She loved being in the sun. I hope she is now. She had the best blackheads on her back. That I was lucky enough to take care of for her. It's true, Stefan. She put ketchup in her matzo ball soup, as I think Max named. I'd like to say I don't judge her to this day for that, but I really do. Other than her late husband, my Papa Mel, her greatest love affair was with Mahjong. She was really dangerous with those tiles. And if you've been lucky enough to be graced by her nails, lovingly tickling your back, you should consider yourself to be lucky. Ema was, at times, frustrating and stubborn. She yelled or gave the cold shoulder. She sometimes passed around blame. Eventually, though, she would give you her classic, "Hi, honey," and life with her by your side would move along. Lastly, Ema was family-oriented, as I think everyone will talk about today. She showed up to her grandchildren's events, celebrations, games, and their lives. She really, really wanted to be included, involved, and connected. She always played in the Grossathon, and from what I know, she passionately lost most times, and I believe most events, every single event, every single time, except for driving, apparently. She was proud of the family she was paramount in creating, and for good reason. Ema was whole and messy and complex and so, so human. And I know I speak for most of us here when I say it's a loss many of us will continue to feel in one way or another for a very long time. I honor her by remembering who she was in full, as none of us are just one thing, and she was not exempt from that. I don't know what happens after we die. In this room, we all come from various places in regards to our hopes, our beliefs, and even our fears when it comes to mortality. But amidst those unanswerable questions, here is what comforts me. Energy cannot, in a scientific sense, be destroyed, but only converted from one form to another. I am grateful to be able to ground in that fact, that despite leaving our earthly bodies, we remain here in some way, shape, or form. I think Ema would prefer it that way. A scientific ever-presence, a scientific ability to eavesdrop, to always be involved, and always included. I hope this brings you some comfort as well. Lastly, in the spirit of practicing self-awareness and accountability, I'd like to apologize to my mom, Renee, and my uncles, Stephen and Freddie. There are probably others that were impacted by this, so please hear me when I say I'm sorry and I love you. Back in January, when Ema was first moved to hospice, I saw dry skin, I saw some lotion, and I rubbed her feet. I rubbed her feet many, many times. This unintentionally created a precedent that all others would follow suit and do the same. And that was not fair to you guys. I'm sorry that I set that standard, termed eventual expectation on Ema's part, despite my pure and caring intentions of doing so. I know this was hard, especially for you, Mom, and I own that. Thank you. I love you. Thank you.
Those were amazing words shared. And I know that the three of you who spoke really speak for all of you. I learned a lot too, so I appreciate that. I didn't do anything about it. I did see her a week and a half ago and
Lucky for you.
didn't run. Before I go on, I have to also apologize. Judy Wick, I know you were here, and I saw you, and I forgot to mention your name because I wasn't wearing my glasses when I read. But I know how close you were to Sharon and the entire family, so I just want to make sure I acknowledge that. And I'm going to put on my glasses. There is an ancient and a very beautiful legend that tells us how God sent a ministering angel to earth to bring back to God the three things which were the most nearly divine, the objects that were worthy of a place in heaven. And when the angel came to earth, he entered a garden. There he saw a rose in bloom, and thinking it to be divinely beautiful, he plucked the rose. He next passed a house where, looking into the window, he saw an infant sleeping in a crib. He was struck by the infant's peaceful smile and thought it worthy of a place in heaven. The angel then flew back and forth over the earth, wondering what that third thing should be. Suddenly he saw a mother, devotedly going about her work, and he took the mother's love to heaven. The legend describes how shortly afterwards the rose withered, losing its beauty. The child awakened from his sleep and was no longer peaceful, and he began to cry. The only thing that remained in heaven, as it was on earth, was the love of the mother. We know from our experience that the most divine gift that we are privileged to enjoy is the love of our mothers, their devotion to our welfare, and their faithfulness to their families. Sharon was a true Em Yisrael, a Jewish mother in the best sense, a woman who made being a mother a full-time occupation. At this time, I'd like to invite her children up to share a few words of praise and tribute to their mother. Can you see me? Good morning. I just have to say that my mom is smiling already because look at this room. It's filled with everybody who loves her, and she's like so happy that you showed up for her. And
You probably wanted to charge tickets.
and I also want to thank, on behalf of our whole family, just how overwhelmed we feel with all your support throughout all of this, and we cannot thank all of you enough for that. Mom, Ema, Mimi, Memes, Sharon. So many names to answer to. We all loved her and accepted what she brought to the table. Well, some of the time. Mom was lucky enough to marry the love of her life now, built a family of 3 children who supported her, and 7 grandchildren who she loved, especially when they doted on her. Everyone who knew her experienced her sarcasm, her sharing her opinion with everyone on everything, and her love of condiments. Our mom was an only child. Her father, Grandpa Ernie, adored her and spent every bit of time possible with her when he wasn't working. Our Grandma Ricky worked at our Uncle Jack's chicken business, and as a result, for most of her childhood, Mom was raised by her Aunt Jeannie, a special soul who we lost in 2004, and her Uncle Jack, with their 2 children that she considered to be her siblings, Judy and Mark. She was spoiled to the nines. She knew how to manipulate any situation to get her way, and that continued until the very end. It was a talent, let us tell you. Family was important to Jeannie. They had Shabbat dinner with extended family every Friday. Unfortunately, Mom didn't quite get the cooking talents from Jeannie, as you heard. However, our dad, Mel, was a meat and potatoes guy. Never complained about what was put in front of him, and we had to clean our plates before we were allowed to leave the table. I suppose that worked out in Mom's favor. Her specialties were hot dog goulash, liver, meatloaf, tuna noodle casserole, and Salisbury steak TV dinners. I cringe thinking about it. Sorry. She did make some good roasted potatoes and lamb chops, though. She was welcomed into the Gross family when she married our dad, and she fit in quite well with her outspoken and loud personality. Growing up, we spent a lot of time in New York with our grandparents, aunts, and uncles, and all their children. Those were our vacations, same family, and we loved it. Our cousins described her as fun, vibrant, peppy, opinionated, entertaining, and a little bossy. Mom loved to make wide-eyed, goofy faces and had such a great laugh. She was a perpetual 21-year-old in attitude and spirit, loved listening to everyone's drama while pretending to sleep. Anyone who was with her knew this to be true. Gave great butterfly kisses and pinched all our cheeks when we were little. Whether you were her child, her grandchild, her niece, nephew, or in-law, like it or not, you were going to get the full Sharon treatment. Unconditional love and support, a wealth of opinions and input, and a lot of spunk. She found a variety of jobs to keep herself busy. Most of you remember her as a salesperson at Powder Room Plus, and later she managed the Fat Frenzy kiosks at Beechwood Place. She was recognized there. She was a big mocker and such a Beechwood celebrity there. Let me tell you. Her biggest loves, family. #1 by far, and of course, Maj with her friends. She organized and played 5 times a week and won more than she lost. I think you all know that. You're not happy about it, I know that too. She stored her money in a tea kettle so no one could find her winnings. TV and movies were another favorite. This is what she did with her time. Super loud. As Franny's kids called their volume, Sharon loud. This has become a real term in their house. She frequented the movie theater where Irv worked, many times with her grandchildren, despite inevitably snoring through most of the film with her mustard-loaded hot dog by her side.
And that
Yeah, and on her shirt. Which brings me to the food, rather the condiments. You name it, she loved it and wanted lots of it. And she also loved Coca-Cola. We had to smuggle that into hospice, let me tell you. Some other favorites, oysters, mashed potatoes with a ton of butter or extra gravy, creamed herring but only from Jack's Deli. Everything with garlic, ketchup and chicken stew, sushi with spicy mayo, salmon rare, eggs runny, steak mooing. See the pattern? Everything raw. Hot fudge with a touch of ice cream. And her favorite birthday dessert, key lime pie. Mom loved to be the life of the party, the center of attention, and didn't follow the norm, whether with her outfits at the weddings, her sarcasm, quick wit, or her tell-it-like-it-is attitude, even and especially when we didn't want to hear it. She was pretty active once upon a time, played softball in school, loved playing tennis, and as we heard, super competitive in Grossathons, Maj, etc. When the doctor told her she had to quit smoking prior to her surgery, we thought, no way is that going to happen. And believe it or not, she did. What a shocker. A 2-pack-a-day smoker since the age of 14. We thought she'd never quit. And for sure start up again after surgery. That didn't happen. And she didn't even ask for a cigarette once, even despite the grandchildren trying to sneak it in. She would say, no. That was the only pleasant surprise in all of this. The other good news was she was in no pain. The back surgery was actually successful. Complications just took over. It was a roller coaster journey, to say the least. The nurses and aides adored her. She was described by the staff as pleasantly snarky. That's our mom for us. She did get confused at times. Recently, she called her friend Franny and says, I have 5 days to live, but are you and the girls coming on Sunday to play Maj? Playing Maj with her friends was a huge highlight for her. At this point, though, her life was truly turned upside down. We saw it, understood, and supported her decision to stop all of it. During this time, she chose to do only what she loved most. Watch TV, get hand and foot massages, her nails polished, be doted on by visitors, eat her favorite foods, and of course, lots and lots of sleep. Mom will be missed. She was loved by so many, family, friends, and really anyone who met her. She truly was young at heart until the very end. Greeted everyone who walked in the room with her wide eyes, a smile, and her signature, honey, making everyone feel welcome. Best part for her in all of this is that she will be reunited with the love of her life, our dad, our grandparents, Jeannie, Irv, and many others. She will definitely have her dancing shoes on. I've been reading a lot these past 6 months, being with my mom, and I love finding meaningful quotes, for those of you who don't know that about me. This quote resonated with me, given our situation, and is something I think for all of us to ponder. Life is a funny thing. We only get
so many years to live it. So we have to do everything we can to make sure those years are as full as they can be. Mom, there is no doubt each of us will have a void in our lives without you. Not being able to pick the phone on a daily basis to hear your voice will be a tough one. We promise, though, to live our lives to the fullest, be present in the moment, and most importantly, we will always love you. Okay, no hugs until we're all done.
Wow. Big sister, yeah.
All right, buddy. Sorry, we're not done yet. Might want to stand up and do a little stretching. Before I get to my spiel, I'm going to reiterate what my sister and brothers have said, that we deeply, deeply appreciate everyone, local, out of state, making the trip, sacrificing. I know you guys have busy lives, and this is not fun. This ain't fun. So thank you for everybody being here. Okay, so I can go on forever with stories and tidbits of my mom, but I think you guys have heard enough from my sister, from grandchildren. So lucky for all of you, I will not go down that road. But I will tell you that she was like a newborn. Always had her days and nights confused. And she would be awake all night long. What she was doing at night? Watching the David Letterman Top 10. You guys remember that? Late night David Letterman Top 10. Then we would, the next day she would call me and we would talk about it, depending on if it was worthy of a conversation or not. So, with that said, it would be only fitting that I give you the top 10 fun facts and not so factual of Sharon Gross. Unfortunately, I was unable to get any A-listed actors to read these, nor Dave Letterman would show up there a little occupied doing I don't know what. So you're stuck with this Z-listed guy.
For the record, he didn't share this with us. We wouldn't have let him do this.
All right, let's start with number 10. The city of Mentor-on-the-Lake was originated and developed off a street named Sharon Drive. Yes, named after our mother. It's a very intriguing story, by the way, so if you want to talk, get deeper into it, feel free to ask me later. Number 9. There was Cal Ripken's Iron Man streak, Ken Jennings' Jeopardy's winning streak, Joey Chestnut's hot dog eating streak. Well, there's now Sharon Gross's Guinness record for attending 328 straight softball games for her most athletic son. Look it up. Nobody filled the shoes of my dad better than my mother. Those are pretty large shoes, by the way. Number 8. She had the magazine Bon Appetit, volume number 27, the recipe of the month for her gourmet hot dog and goulash. Nobody could merge a hot dog and a potato better than my mother. Number 7, because she was the most tenured employee and seeked out person in the history of Beecher Place, the mall honored her with a plaque that stated information desk. I don't know, does Beecher Place even have an information desk? I don't know. Number 6, it gets better, I promise. Number 6, first individual ever to graduate summa cum laude from the University of Western Reserve Hospice. A little dark. It's true.
You're right.
Thank you. Number 5. We're almost there. Given her taste for extra ketchup, extra Big Mac sauce, extra mayo, or any condiment, as we all been talking about all day long, for that matter. The TV show Extra, you guys know the TV show Extra? They had sent a thank you letter to her for keeping them on the air and being renewed by Fox in 2019. Number 4. If we all know my mother well, we know she had the 3 of us ranked 1 through 3. Well, like the 91 Minnesota Twins, the 2023 grosses has reversed. I finally went from last to first. I had 5 days of it. Number 3. In 2018, Milton Bradley and Parker Brothers filed an antitrust suit against my mother for monopolizing the game of mahjong. Number 2. She inhaled so much nicotine in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 2000s. The company Marlboro reached out to her asking her if she'd be interested in their stock option program. And the number 1 fun fact and not so factual of Sharon Gross. On January 21st, her birthday, I won't mention her year, my mother gave birth to her greatest birthday gift. Her second child and middle child. That would be me. Love you, Mama. I want to do one more thing. My mother was a wacky individual. I don't think anyone used that term, but if you look up wacky, you'll see her picture right next to it. What I like to do, I like everybody to stand up, please. If you can stand. If you can't stand, I understand. Got those in the ball part of the tree. I'm giving my mother the Life Achievement Award for being the mother she was, the grandmother, the aunt, the cousin, and friend. So please, everybody, take your hands and put them together. She always wanted to stay in ovation.
awesome. Never seen anything like it. And sadly, I was tasked with going last. They had. So I'm just going to give you a few other facts, and then we're going to wrap this up. Sharon Feldman was born and raised here in Cleveland and graduated from Shaker Heights High School in 1959. And after graduation, as fate would have it, Sharon was invited to a party in the apartment complex in which she lived. It was at that party that she met her future husband, the handsome and intelligent Melvin Gross, of blessed memory, who was here in Cleveland from the Bronx for an educators conference. They hit it off the moment they laid eyes on each other. Renee, you mentioned to me yesterday that you once asked your mom if it was love at first sight at that first meeting. And your effervescent and sassy mother answered you, yeah, it was love at first sight for him. They dated a short while and were married in 1961 and became the proud parents of these 3 incredible children. They were the perfect and balanced couple. Serious Mel instilled the drive to succeed with the importance of responsibility, and Sharon was the social director, with her outgoing and bubbly personality and views on enjoying fun and fulfilling life. Together they instilled in their children a love of Judaism, and observed Shabbat, and in the holidays and festivals, with the extended family who she cared so much about. But their dreams were shattered and cut short as her beloved Mel became ill and passed away after only 27 years of marriage. But Sharon resolved to continue looking forward and lived her following years with joy and happiness, more intent in her devotion to her family and the work that she loved, selling tchotchkes from the carts at Beechwood Mall. She was kind of happy last week when I told her there was not much business there. She said, okay, good. And she found love again with her beloved Irv of blessed memory, with whom she shared over 20 years of friendship and partnership. Still, Sharon put her family ahead of everything she did, and she treated each person that she knew as if they were the most important person in the world. I learned yesterday that Sharon lived frugally. She turned the lights and the air conditioning off. She kept the heat low to save energy and costs. Her favorite credit card was Discover. Why?
Cash back.
Cash back. I'm sure that each of us here has a special story or memory that we will share with the family in the days and weeks and months ahead. And each time that you do that, Sharon's neshama, her soul, will be elevated closer and closer to God. And this is how we keep Sharon's memory alive within us. I also want to acknowledge that you, Renee, and with Freddie and Stefan and your families, you were the constant care for her. You had care and concern, especially during these last year, and you allowed her to live her final months and her days in comfort and with great dignity. The bottom line is simple. To know Sharon was to love Sharon. No more eloquent eulogy, no better summary of her life can be than to say that her family consider themselves blessed because she was their mother, their grandmother, a special dear relative, and a friend. May her qualities continue to influence, inspire, and guide all of you in the years ahead. And may her memory continue with all of us as an everlasting blessing. Amen. Adonai natan ve'Adonai lakach, yehi shem Adonai mevorach. God has given, and now God has taken her away. Blessed be the name of God. I ask again, all who are able, to please rise for the Ilma. El rachamim shochen b'mromim hamitzeh melacha nechona tachat kanfei shchina im kerushim utehorim kezor harakia mazhirim et nishmat Sima bat Aharon v'Rivka shalcha le'olama Bal rachamim ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר אמן. Compassionate God, eternal spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Sharon Gross, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace. And let us all say, Amen. You may be seated for another moment. This concludes the service here in the chapel. We will continue with interment at Mount Sinai Cemetery. The family will be observing Shiva today at Fred and Annette's home at 273 Old Salem Trail in Highland Heights, today until 7 p.m., tomorrow from 1 to 3 and 4:30 to 7:30, and Wednesday from 4 to 7 p.m. Contributions in Sharon's memory can be made to C5 Georgia Fund, and you can find that at their website, c5georgia.org.
If I could ask those who are acting as pallbearers if you'd kindly step forward at this time.